Fearscape Media Network, exploring the unknown, one podcast at a time.
There are phenomena that exist all around us.
Kids
playing, and above, something unknown flies over and disappears. People driving at night, seeing huge creatures cross the road. People waking up to find their cabinet doors ripped open in their kitchen.
Strange things happen every day around the world and seemingly
at the same time and area. But are these occurrences connected? This is what we are here to explore and are trying to understand.
Join us on our journey
to uncover what we call the Convergence Enigma. Every Wednesday on the Fearscape Media Network.
Ghosts in the Attics, Bodies in the Basements may contain graphic, violent, vulgar, or explicit content not suitable for all listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome back, listeners. It's Ghosts in the Attics, Bodies in the Basements. Anna.
And I'm Lindsay, and this is the long-awaited Gone Girl episode.
So fucking sorry it took 5 years to get here. Not really, but it feels like it.
But since we made you all wait for so long, we decided to make it a regular episode.
Right? We feel it's earned that spot.
You all have earned that from us.
Also, did you read the book?
We gave you plenty of time. Come on.
Let us know on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, or in our inbox at gabbpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on Gone Girl. I know this book is not new by any stretch of the imagination. The movie is not new. Both are significantly old, but they still, I feel, stand. There are so many books that people go, it's the next Gone Girl. Mm-hmm. To this day, people say that about new upcoming books. So I feel like that Gillian Flynn really did something amazing when she wrote this, and we'll get all into it. But I just want to point out that for you people that don't understand my obsession with this woman, I've read everything she's written, including her short stories. Anything that's been published by Gillian Flynn, I've read, I own, I adore. She's fantastic. Like, there's Stephen King and Gillian Flynn. Like, for me, that's just like, oh. So, I mean.
And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, this is the first time I've ever read her.
Yeah. What'd you think?
It's pretty good.
Was it a little too fucked up for you?
I have lots of opinions, but before we jump in case anybody hasn't read it, which, why are you listening to this? There's going to be spoilers.
Spoiler alerts.
We figured we will get into the synopsis a little bit in case maybe you are just wild and don't care that it's spoilers and you just want to hear about it. So let's get into it. This is the synopsis off of Amazon. On a warm summer morning in North Carthage, Missouri, it is Nick and Amy Dunn's 5th wedding anniversary. Presents are being wrapped and reservations are being made when Nick's clever and beautiful wife disappears. Husband of the year Nick isn't doing himself any favors with cringeworthy daydreams about the slope and shape of his wife's head, but passages from Amy's diary revealed that alpha girl perfectionist could have put anyone dangerously on edge. Under mounting pressure from the police and the media, as well as Amy's fiercely doting parents, the town golden boy parades an endless series of lies, deceits, and inappropriate behavior. Nick is oddly evasive, and he's definitely bitter. But is he really a killer? Bum, bum,
I was just about to do that.
bum.
Yeah, so the thing of it, she is so masterfully written this book in a way that you don't know what the fuck is going to happen. Like, you think you know, and then you get 2 more pages in, you're like, nope, fuck, I
and
was wrong.
you might have figured out something.
Oh yeah, because you watched the
But then
movie
there's another
first.
one. Well, I haven't seen the movie actually.
Oh,
I
I know.
probably should have
Like,
watched that.
a lot of people probably know about this because of the movie,
I
which is
just
how I
okay.
found out about it. I found out about it because Ben Affleck looked dreamy as hell with a like lady laying on top of him in like a morgue. And I was like, okay, I'm listening. And it said, based on the best-selling novel. I was like, okay, I'm buying it. And
Right.
it went downhill from there. I mean,
I will say
spiraled out into Gone
because
Girl.
the book came out in 2014 according to Amazon. I did not fact check that, so hopefully Amazon is correct. But it came out in 2014, give or take. And so obviously like I knew like the big twist, but there was still enough twists and turns throughout it where it was okay. Like it wasn't like the huge shock when it like switched to part 2 or whatever,
Right.
but there was still enough in the book where I'm just like, what the fuck?
Oh, yeah. So there's so many what the fucks. All right. So we pulled up a little questionnaire that we put together uh that we found online, and we picked our favorite questions. So this will kind of keep us on track with our squirrely brains. God help us. my my Adderall dose is due like any minute now. But I digress. All right, so the first question that we're going to start with is going to be, was the book too fucked up for Lindsay? No.
No, I don't think it was too fucked up.
No. My friend said she vomited when she read certain parts of the
Really?
book.
Well,
The
I did not
wine,
pass out when I read Guts by Chuck Palahniuk.
yeah, I was gonna say the wine
So,
bottle really fucked with her.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
that was messed up.
we'll
I
get
will
into that
say,
a little bit later.
I
Start
will
off
say,
the episode lighthearted.
so like it wasn't too fucked up for me, but I will say this. First of all, I listen on Audible. We talk about that all the time. Audible sponsor us.
Sponsor anyone, please.
I know,
We
right?
don't have that as an option anymore. It's really kind of not fair.
But because I listen on Audible, you're kind of like at the discretion of the narrator, okay? And it's not that the narrators were bad. Like I'm not trying to shit on, I don't remember their names, but like they did a good job, but it's like they did too good of a job and it was
Right.
annoying me.
Right. Like they were the characters.
Like I remember I was listening to it one day and my mom had called me and she was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm listening to Gone Girl." And so like we kind of talked a little bit and I was like, "I'm going to be honest, they are insufferable, both of them." And I'll tell
Yes.
you, I always try to take notes for these book clubs and I'm horrible at taking notes. I always stop. But
I do too.
but since I'm on the topic of my opinions on Nick and Amy, I had to read you the little bit I did write. And it says, I initially thought Nick was annoying, but the more I hear Amy's side, admittedly by chapter 4, so maybe it'll change. Spoiler, it does not. She's a fucking tool. Everything has to be some deeper meaning, and she has to be the smartest one in the room. I stand by that opinion upon finishing the book.
She really does. She has to be, like, for fuck's sake, she says something. I'm butchering this, paraphrasing at best, to say the least. She goes on to say something in the book along the lines of, no guy wants to be with nobody, no guy wants to be with anyone but the cool girl. So I was the cool girl for you, Nick. And it's like, or here's a wild fucking idea: be yourself. Be yourself.
But when she starts being
be
herself is when
yourself.
shit goes down.
No, see, the thing of it, she could have been herself, and I think they could have had a loving short term, not long lasting.
I was about to say, I don't think Amy is
they're-
capable.
I don't think they're both capable of that, but a short term loving relationship, and they could have seen each other's flaws and loved each other through it until they just couldn't stand each other because they're so fucking obnoxious. But she could have been herself. I mean, anyone can be. I'm not for everyone. You're not for everyone. Nobody's for everyone. But there is somebody out there that's going to find who you are as a person and love you endlessly through your faults and through your bullshit and just call you out on it, but love you through it anyway. And I mean, she could have been that, but no, she had to be the cool girl.
As far as we know, that's what her diary says, which we know was completely fabricated.
Exactly. So, in the first third of the book, did you think Nick was guilty? Yes or no? And if so, why or why not?
I don't think I can fairly say either way because I knew she wasn't dead.
Right.
Like, I already knew that twist. But if I try to pretend I didn't know that, I would say there was reasonable doubt.
Yes.
Like, now, he very much did not think things through, like taking selfies with the search party.
Like, right, like, let me give you a casserole.
I also understand that people pleaser persona of she's not gonna leave me alone. Okay. And I'm smiling. You all can't see me.
Yeah. No, but that's the thing is, like, I will die on this hill. Everybody that writes a book needs to have the option to write the screenplay for the movie. Lindsay has not seen Gone Girl because she hadn't had a chance, but I own the movie, I own the book, I own the audiobook, I own the ebook. I own all the books. Okay, it's problematic. I told you she's one of my favorite authors. And Gillian Flynn actually had the option and did write the screenplay for the fucking movie. And because of that, because she was able to take her work and turn it into a different form of her work, it was so fucking perfect. I mean, very little was left out of the book. Very little. Or left out of the movie, sorry. That went from the book into the movie. Very little was left out. And it was so refreshing to read your favorite book and then to see it on like the screen and it not be completely fucking butchered. It was nice. I'm not
That is very nice, and it is the complete opposite
of every other
situation of when me and my Twilight phase back in the day. And when I say Twilight phase, I say me and Kelsey went to Forks, Washington for the Breaking Dawn book release, and it was awesome. But anyways, so imagine my extreme disappointment in seeing the Twilight film. I kind of want to rewatch it just for the Twilight Renaissance and go into it knowing it's horrible and laugh about it.
I watched a quarter of the first movie. I got to the part where he's like watching her sleep and he breaks into her house every fucking day. And like, she was like, "What are you doing here?"
I've been doing this for like 3 months now.
It's and he's cool. Like, I've just been doing it forever. And she's like, "Oh my God, he loves me so much." No, it's not sexy. It's not cool. He's fucking breaking into your house. It's creepy. Call the cops. Yeah, oh, wait, call your dad. He's the cop.
Right? As an adult, Twilight's suspicious at best.
Never read it. I watched, like I said, a quarter of one movie.
But when I was like,
and it was not good.
Right, like when I was like, what, like a sophomore in high school or something, I think is when Twilight came out. Because Breaking Dawn came out.
You're aging us.
I just graduated high school and wasn't even 18 yet when we flew to Washington.
Yeah.
I'm surprised my parents did not just die of a heart attack with that trip. But yeah.
Oh yeah, Gone Girl.
It was like so romantic.
Yeah. No. Well, in Gone Girl, they try to make the scavenger hunt seem so romantic.
I will say
it was elaborate as fuck, and that girl is a genius.
That's what I was gonna say. Like it.
That's the level of gift giving I aspire to.
But like the levels. The way it hits so differently because like
she was doing the scavenger hunts before the manipulation of is she missing or not. She did the initial scavenger hunt because it's what her parents would do, and it was something sweet from her childhood that she enjoyed. So she tried to replicate that. But that is a level of thought and compassion and just like diehard gift giving that I aspire to. AKA prom dress, 8 hours, came to see you for your birthday. Like that's me. I like thrive in that environment. I'm like, ooh, fun. But I mean, it's manipulative as fuck, the last
It is.
scavenger hunt she threw. Woo!
Right,
Well, I
because,
say
like,
that she
as the
threw.
reader, you are kind of put into Nick's, like, mindset, I guess, where he starts re-falling in love with her. And then, of course, when you find out that the whole time he's actually having an affair, and so, like, some things are kind of like the
Yeah.
underwear in his office, like shit like that is like, oh, but you don't know that at the time. And he's like, wow, maybe I had her pegged wrong. Like, I'm the asshole cheating on my wife, which, yes, you are, Nick, but
Yes.
doesn't negate she's also an asshole. But you start being like, okay, maybe she's not that bad. Maybe
Oh,
she was really trying.
she was,
And
and
then you
the
get to that
diaries,
twist.
and then they come into the diaries, and then the accusations of him trying to murder her or beat her up, and all these different things, and it's just like
Mm-hmm.
he was sitting there, and you could just tell from the reader, like being in his mind and like walking in his shoes for 5 minutes per chapter. You're like, I didn't do that. What the actual fuck? And it's just like the level of betrayal.
Right,
I can only imagine his character felt. But
right.
also, she was betrayed as well. So it's just like they're both assholes in the end.
And what it all boils down to is what we mentioned earlier of should have just been yourself.
Yeah.
But I
Like,
will say Nick has so much of the people pleaser. I'm the nice guy. Everybody wants me to help them, but then like secretly resents it.
oh, I
And
mean, don't we
then,
all though?
I mean,
I
we're
mean, I
recovering people pleasers.
we are
That's a
so
topic for another day
we
and
need
like a
like
different podcast.
we need like a whole like meeting about it weekly, I swear, where we're just like, we're not gonna do it anymore. We're not gonna do it anymore. Okay. And then we do it
Like,
anyway.
no, it's a complete sentence, and then send a novel explaining why we can't do like a simple thing when like I don't know. But yeah, recovering people pleasers here. So I
Yep.
relate to Nick in that aspect to an extent. But I don't know.
I mean, I've trained my children to the point to where if I hold up a camera, Landon automatically goes from being pissed off looking to cheese, but not like a fake cheese, like a happy cheese, like a put on smile, but that you can't tell he put it on. It just looks natural because I play with the camera. I have a camera hobby. I have a lot of hobbies. ADD much, but beyond that, like I've trained my kids to just put it on when that camera's held up. And so I feel like when that camera came on, he just did what Landon does is smile.
exactly, yeah.
Okay, and then he was done because he didn't want that lady pestering the fuck out of
That's
him,
what I was
hitting
about to say.
on
What's
him
really
while his wife is
frustrating,
missing.
right? Like what's really frustrating is that from the reader we get his inside thoughts where he's like, "Oh my god, I can tell that she's being weird and annoying and I just want her to go away." I think he even says, "I want her to go away." And so he
Yeah.
smiles to take the picture so she'll fucking go away. And then it also is a good narrative about the media and how the media portrays and they can spin a story.
Yep.
It's, oh, look how suspicious because the husband always does it,
Always.
which is like a whole other, I think, another one of the questions that we had found on the book club discussion stuff. But like, it's frustrating to know the truth, or at least the truth as Nick saw it. You can very much say that both of them are unreliable narrators.
There's his version, her version,
Know what
and
really
the
happened.
truth lies somewhere in the middle. Yeah.
And you get a little bit more of the truth for farther into the book when Nick finally admits that he's been cheating on Amy.
Can we just talk about the real hero of the book for a moment? Not the author. I mean, she is the hero, but the character hero of the book, Margot. Can we get a for his sister, because that bitch was not putting up with his bullshit. She was not putting up with his shenanigans.
Mm-mm.
She wasn't willing to hide anything for him. She had his back, but she beat him with her words. Like, I'm telling you,
Right.
if she was a physical person, she probably would have smacked the shit out of him.
Right. Like she was definitely very strong. Because first of all, how hard and what must it be to see your twin go through this, whether you think they may be guilty or not or whatever, and then find out that you've been fighting for this person. Like he's such a great person. He loves his wife, all that. And then she literally catches him trying to push the little girlfriend out the door.
Right?
And she's like, the fuck?
Yeah.
like, I had your back. I was like, and I still love you, and I'm still here for you, and I know you're not a monster, but that's fucked.
Yeah. And like she's like, how long has this been going on? What the actual fuck, Nick? And
Like, what
like
are you thinking?
I love that. I love that Gillian portrayed such a strong female character without her being bossy and bitchy and demanding. Like she
Right.
was strong and assertive and kind and caring and sure of herself. And I fucking love that.
And also, I feel so bad for her because she can't help being related to Nick.
Nope.
But Amy dragged her into it too by
Yep.
hiding the stuff in her storage shed on her property.
Yep. Because
And making her then
why not make her guilty by association?
exactly. And like, that was sad. I felt bad. for her.
Okay, so what do you think? This is a question from the little blog thingy. It says, "What did you expect to happen after Amy returned? Were you surprised by her final uh, predicament? Do you think that would be enough for Nick to actually stay?" Okay, I'll let you answer and I'll give my opinion.
Okay, first of all, fucked up. I said before on here, I can appreciate a bad ending. And I
Yeah.
would definitely say that is a bad ending.
Oh
You know
yeah.
what I mean? And but I can appreciate it because it makes it
Well,
not all happy
let's
because
tell everybody what happened so that they know.
oh yeah,
if they haven't read
spoiler
it.
alert. Amy comes back and oh, I had this horrible situation, which we'll get into separately away from this question. And like she's perfect victim who was found, and oh, it was never my husband, even though she was trying to pin him the entire fucking time. And then he's all pissed the fuck off, wants her gone, wants trying to figure out how to get out of it. And oh, what is it? Back a few years ago when they were having problems, they had frozen some of his sperm for fertility treatments.
And guess who went and got herself a baby? Amy.
Mm-hmm. So she said, "Oh, but I'm pregnant," which of course we haven't mentioned, but if you read the book, you know. She put in her fake diary that she was pregnant using her neighbor fake friend's pee, who was actually pregnant.
Super fucking genius, by the way.
No, you're fucking not. Like, you're not. And then she mentioned like the sperm bank and all that or whatever. And he was like just floored. And then he's like, yeah, I have to stay. Like, I don't want to, but I'll do what I can for the kid.
Because his parents were horrible to each other and they got divorced, etc., etc., and he didn't want his child to feel abandoned by him, so he stayed with Amy.
Which is interesting considering he talks about how much happier his mom was after the divorce.
Oh,
Like, she
yeah.
was instantly lighter.
Yeah.
But
But
I do see him actually staying for that because we mentioned before he's the people pleaser nice guy, even though he resents it.
and how many people out there have you ever heard of in life?
We're staying together for
Stay
the kid.
together for the kids. Yeah. It's a horrible trope, but it is a trope, and there's
And it's a reality.
It's a reality. That's
Like,
why
I personally know people who have said such things, and I'm like, as
Or-
a child of divorced parents, I'll tell you, it was better than being separated than together miserable.
A lot of times parents will stay together until the kids are out of high school and or high school / college, and then they'll get divorced like later in their life. So it's easier on the child, and the kid's like, why didn't you do this fucking years ago? God. Like,
Right.
you know, it's crazy.
It's no matter how much you think you hide from your children, they still can pick up on like those feelings.
The tension in the air.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, they know you hate each other, which does make me feel horrible for the child of Nick and Amy.
All right,
because they are both miserable people.
Let's go into, well, that child's going to be a psychopath, but I'm waiting for that book to come out. Let's get into another question. Do you believe that she would have actually committed suicide when she left, and why do you think she returned?
Okay, so for people who have not read and are just listening to us talk for the sake of talking, Amy said when we get to the big twist that Amy's actually alive and we get like real Amy instead of fake diary Amy, she tells about how her plan was to get away and get far enough away and then kill herself. She had like pocket full of sleeping pills.
Mississippi River.
Yeah, like I think everything's along like the Mississippi River because they live in Missouri. And so she's like, oh, I've got all these sleeping pills. I'm just gonna swim out into the water and take these pills, which made me think of A Simple Favor.
Yeah.
But
Which may be where that trope came from, you know.
yeah,
But
I don't see her actually doing it.
I
She
think
loves
she's too
herself too
selfish.
much.
Yeah, she's too selfish. I mean, not to say that you can't be selfish and also kill yourself. I'm saying she is crazy in a different level of crazy.
She's
And she's
hardcore psychopathic
manipulative
narcissistic.
and she's narcissistic and she's self-absorbed, like, I mean, to the 10th degree. It's ridiculous. But I don't think she would have committed suicide because then she couldn't see how it played out. And I think she returned because Nick figured out that she was playing a game with him. That Amy was actually alive. That because okay. So, what Amy does when she leaves is she cuts her hair, she changes her appearance completely so she can't be discovered. But Nick figures out that it's all a game when they discover the burnt diary in his dad's old house. His dad's in a nursing home now. But in his dad's house, in like this wood burning fireplace furnace thing. I don't know. So they find the diary all like burnt to shit and they decipher it the best that they can. That's when Nick figures out this bitch is playing a game with him. And so he decides if she can play a game, I will top her. I will make Amy fall in love with me because he knows she's out there watching it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes to this little motel and gets into this like altercation with this couple that's staying there. Maybe they weren't a couple. It's hard for me to tell how it was written, if they were actually like a couple or if they were just like fucking with her to rob her. I don't know. But they rob her. So she calls up an ex-boyfriend that she had claimed tried to, trigger warning,
Stalk
rape
her.
her. Well,
He tried to kill himself in her bed.
tried to kill. Yeah, yeah, and I think she said he raped her as well. But
At the very, I can't remember that, but I do know she claimed he was a stalker, like
yeah, hardcore
hardcore.
stalker, obsessed with her, tried to kill himself in her bed. She got a restraining order against him. His name's Desi, and she did all of this shit. Oh no, the rape thing happens after she's with him. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. So she takes this, like I talked about this wine bottle earlier. Trigger warning for disgusting. She is lavishly taken care of with Desi. He is in love with her, and he's always been in love with her. And she paints Nick out to be this monster, like she has in her diary. And Desi kind of is sort of weird. He wants her to be like thin and blonde, and
she's put on some weight in her hiding because she's eating like vending machine junk food and
yeah,
whatnot. And then
probably
like,
heavier than the last time he saw her, anyways, because it's been so long.
High school or college.
Yeah, high school or college. And so he wants her to be thin and fit, so he has her exercise and he cooks her, fancy gourmet food, but it's healthy food, but he gives her wine. And so she takes those wine bottles and assaults herself with them. That's the best way I know how to put it.
Make the forensics work
to make it look like she was assaulted, and she claims that he raped her, and then she fucking murders him. She murders him during sex.
So then when she shows back up to Nick,
he is covered in blood.
And she's all like, oh, the entire time the crazy ex-stalker is the one who kidnapped me.
Yeah.
The real victim was Desi. He was weird.
Yeah, he was weird.
I don't know where that could have gone. It was a little
The girl that she said impersonated her, that was
weird. Impersonate. Okay, let me just say, and I won't be on this soapbox for long because I'm not about to like start like getting into too much details. As somebody who has been made like the bad guy in people's stories when like it's so far from the truth, I felt so horrible, especially for that girl. Desi, we find out, is still a little weird. But that girl at the time, woman, when we meet her in the story, like, she just thought she had a friend.
Yeah.
She thought she had a friend, and the friend made her do things, and then turned around and said, oh my God, what is wrong with you?
Well, not even just that. There was another guy as well. I can't remember the character's name. I'm super sorry for that. But
oh, yeah. I forgot about him.
She makes him out to be a horrible person too, and I think
she said he attempted to like date
rape her.
That's
what it was. He attempted to date rape her, and she ruined his life and reputation all because she was bored.
Yeah, she just felt like it.
She was bored. I can't stress that enough. This woman is psychotic. And so, all of that to say, I think she came home because she needed the attention.
That's
And
what I was
Nick,
going to say. She liked the attention she was getting on the news.
and
And she was like, I don't even get to like feel it firsthand.
Nick was putting on this, oh, I'm going to wear the shirt she picked out for me, and the, you know, the tie that she likes, and all this
and
shit.
as a side note on that, for people who don't know, the scavenger hunt she put on, it for both of them, every anniversary, holiday, birthday, whatever, it was very much they got each other the gifts that they would have liked to receive instead of what the other person would actually like.
Yep.
And so he never wore any of this stuff. So he's like, you know what? I'll play her little game, and like starts putting on all the stuff that he didn't even like, but she got for him.
And she was just like, he's trying so hard. He loves me. Meh. And it's just like, or, here's a radical thought. He's trying to get you to come home so he doesn't go to fucking prison.
Right? And like that was like such an infuriating thing when they figure it out, and he tells his attorney, tells his sister, like, it explains it all. And the attorney's even kind of like, you know what, sounds kind of sus, but like, I see where it could be that or whatever. And then like they don't even get to prove it because she comes back.
And he had a kick-ass shark of a lawyer, and I was really hoping that it would go somewhere and like Nick would get his justice served and he would be found innocent, but Amy had to, come back and be the amazing Amy. By the way, her parents wrote a book series about her, sort of. It's so fucked up. No wonder she's fucked up. She comes from crazy people. They made a book series about the amazing Amy, a little girl who could do everything Amy could not. Amy failed at playing the piano. Oh, well, amazing Amy can play the piano. She's a perfect piano player. Like, it's just crazy.
I do wonder, though, how much they are actually like that and how much Amy just portrays to the reader that they are like that.
I mean, in the book, though, she does go to Amazing Amy's wedding book party release bullshit because Amy can't get married, so they're going to marry off the character.
Right.
That's really mean. And it's just like, maybe it was part of the whole Amy mindfuck game that she was playing with everyone, even us, the readers. Or maybe her parents were just that shitty.
Right. We were talking about Amy coming back, but while she's in hiding, this is another one of the questions. These are off of various websites that will, as always, be on our sources. But it says, while in hiding, Amy begins to explore what the real Amy likes and dislikes because she's been putting on this front for fucking years. It says, do you think that this is a true exploration of her feelings, or is she just acting out yet another role? And I'll just stop there.
I feel she is too locked into playing something to figure out who she really is ever. I don't think she'll ever truly admit the monster that she really is because it's too terrifying for her to admit, for one. And for two, I think, personally, that she's been acting her whole life as somebody else to somebody else to somebody else. Every person she comes in contact with, she's a different Amy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like she has schizophrenia or DID. She's just manipulative. And
very much so.
Very much a chameleon, and turns herself into what she thinks they want her to be. Like, I'm the cool girl, Nick.
Or who she wants to be for that person.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
The friend from high school, it's, oh, we're best friends. And then it turns out she played it off like this girl is stalking her, trying to steal her identity.
Exactly. And like the guy that she, Desi, that she runs to when she gets robbed, because Desi's loaded. I mean, he comes from money. He's made his own money. He's a loaded dude, and he hides her. He takes her and he helps her. And what
thinks she's escaping a domestic violence situation.
What does she do? Sets him up for rape and murders him. And now the wine bottle thing, I'm going back to that. How would they prove that it was rape? Oh, it just looks like she's had sex. No. She gets him to actively have sex with her one time. So
Have the
his
DNA.
fluids and DNA and all the things, and then she kills him while he's mid whatever. Anyways, it's gross. That's what made my friend throw up, was the wine bottle stuff, and so I feel that. But it's just like,
she was also slowly bruising her wrists and ankles.
Oh yeah, she would
where
tie
he
herself
wouldn't
up
notice,
with like
but
sheets
the
and
police
shit.
looked like she had been tied up.
Yeah, she would like wrap her wrist with some sort of object, like, was it sheets? Well, I can't remember what it
I can't
was.
remember what she used.
She used, like, we'll say bedding, because I can't remember
she used something to make it, but like she was doing it slowly over time.
Tighten it and just really just rake it in, like make it look like she had been trying to get out of restraints, and like that's fucking like next level. Like, she honestly is so smart. And if you know how when kids are being bad in school and they're like, well, maybe they're just bad kids, or maybe they're just bored. When bored people have nothing better to do, they act out. Amy is so fucking smart that she has nothing better to do than act out because she's bored. It's ridiculous.
I agree. Oh, the rest of that question was, in these passages, what does she mean when she refers to herself as I in quotes? I think it means she doesn't know who she really is. Because she's always been acting.
I don't think she knows who she is, because she's been, trying to outdo the book Amy, and then she tries to be whoever she needs to be to make the situation more convenient for her with everyone she interacts with. And I think the only true moment she ever had was the moment she may have been born. Because that's
I think maybe the moment she got robbed. Because she was just so shocked and didn't expect
it. She was actually scared.
Because for once,
she thought she was smarter than them.
Not even just that. The people were people she'd been spending time with. So they were like almost like friends, quote unquote.
But she was putting on a facade because she was in hiding. That's the only reason why that makes any sense.
Right.
So the next question says, Nick stops, it's in quotes. It says, Nick stops strangling Amy and thinks, who would I be without Amy to react to? Because she was right. As a man, I had been my most impressive when I loved her. And I was my best self when I hated her. I couldn't return to an average life. End quote. That says a lot about him. We'll get into that. But the end of the question is this believable? Is it possible for Nick to be fulfilled in an extraordinary relationship where he is understood even if it is manipulative and dangerous?
I think we all have known people throughout life who are so toxic together but are addicted to each other. And I think that's what's happened with Nick and Amy by the end.
Do you want to know why? I'll tell you why. Shh, it's a secret. Don't let anyone know.
People mistake drama for passion.
Thank you. People think you have to have that passionate fighting to have makeup sex or
like
whatever.
The Notebook.
The Notebook is horribly toxic. The guy stalks her for however many fucking years.
Threatens to throw himself off a Ferris wheel if they don't go on a date.
He's great. I hate that movie so much.
I always love it. I haven't watched it in years, but that was not healthy.
I almost got suspended in high school for calling a teacher out on letting us watch that in class. And I was like, it got to the sex scene part, and I was like, God, no guy wants to hear some girl babble while they have sex. And she goes, go to the office. I was like, why? Well, you want to come with me? I was like, we're literally watching this in class right now. I was like, we are in high school. Right. This is not appropriate for you to put on for us. She was a substitute. And I was like, so would you like for me to give commentary or for me to go tell the principal exactly what you're doing? And I got to sit down and I didn't have to do anything for the rest of the day. Not because I was in trouble, but because I outsmarted that bitch. I will die on hills, and that was one of them. I was like, I'm not going to fucking principal's office for this. Fuck you. I shouldn't be having to watch this in class anyway.
But back to Gone Girl, I will say
sorry, I have ADD.
You're good. On Amy's side of it, with them, she wants Nick to be around so she constantly gets that validation and attention, whether it's negative or positive. She just wants the attention. And she knows that she has the power to wreck him if he steps out of line. On the opposite end of that, Nick has grown addicted to being angry with her. I
Not
think at
even
one
just
point he even talks about how he was like ready to get riled up, even though like they weren't even having a conversation yet. He just knew what she was gonna say and it was gonna go bad.
right.
Like almost like he was excited to be angry about it.
I don't even think it's just an addiction. I think it's just that's all he knows. That he watched his parents have that type of relationship, and then he finds himself in that type of relationship, and it's unfortunate that people think that's thrilling and exciting and love when it's not. Like, you know, it's the best thing ever when you don't get butterflies in your stomach when you meet somebody when they feel like home.
Mm-hmm. When you
Now,
get past that
when you
like
get past that
new
fluttery,
person
like
and have that
new
comfort.
excited energy, and you just find comfort, and they just the side of them can calm you down, not piss you off instantly. See, that's where the difference is.
Right.
And a lot of times people mistake fighting and anger and just drama for passion, and you know what I'm passionate about? Not being in drama.
Ugh,
S-
seriously.
Straight
Uh,
up.
I will also say, because I've been sitting here while you're talking, like going through my head. I'd mentioned earlier, I was shocked about him staying just because he saw how much happier his mom was after the
Right.
divorce. But that's just it. Because throughout a whole theme throughout with Nick's narration is his intense fear of becoming his father. And his
Yep.
father is very anti woman. It's that stupid
He
bitch
Yeah,
constantly.
he's always saying that horrible phrase.
Yeah. And he gets stuck in Nick's head. Like
Yep.
in his father's voice, in his head, that stupid bitch. Like whenever he gets like mad at Amy or anyone else who happens to be a female. And so I think that maybe by sticking around knowing that he's going to be miserable because of that stupid bitch, because he's like, well, I am destined to become my father.
Also, though, on the same thought, if he leaves Amy, will she then in turn be happy like his mother was? Because he doesn't like Amy. He doesn't want her to be happy. He wants to be happy.
I just don't understand why he didn't. I mean, he did
I
try to
would
keep proving.
I would try to get custody of that kid and run fucking
Exactly. I
far,
was gonna
far
say
away.
because I was gonna say why didn't he keep trying to prove it? For a while he did. For those of you who did not read it, he go and one of the detectives would meet up in secret at like the Waffle House or whatever.
Yeah, but as
And
soon as it was this, like once Amy revealed she was legitimately pregnant,
mm-hmm. Then it
he
was like, oh, we're done,
he
and
had to
go and the
break it
detectives were
off.
like, the fuck.
Yeah, he broke it off with them, and he was like, "She's pregnant. I'm staying with her." And they tried really hard to convince him to leave, to
Yeah.
fight, to prove because they had evidence. But in the end, Nick stayed with Amy, and
Like I
they
said,
have
bad
a
ending.
baby. It's
Not that it's a poorly written
no,
ending,
it's
but
written very well. It's just I mean, I kind of wanted them both to die by the end and Margot be like triumphant somehow. Like, you know, like, oh, she didn't
mhm,
have to pay back the money on the bar. She gets it all to herself. Yay, yay, yay. Go, Margot. Everybody else can go
right.
just down in a bunch of flames. Because it, we have this problem, Lindsay. I've realized that when we watch things, read things, we don't like the main characters.
Yeah, I was actually just watching TikTok videos before we started recording of this TikToker I like who psychoanalyzes Gilmore Girls and
Yes.
specifically Lorelai, Rory, and Emily's like toxic behaviors.
And they're dynamic.
Yes. So yes, very much so. We do tend to hate the main characters. Not always. There's other
No,
books,
there are a
but
few really redeeming characters in books, but you know, it is what it is.
yeah, we do tend to really not like main characters for some reason.
Because
But
they're written poorly, I swear. I mean, really
or they're
well, but
written
like
too well.
or they're
And
written to the point to where they're so realistic that they're obnoxious.
right.
Or
There's
they don't have any they're so quirky and cute and like, nah, it's like
uh,
or they don't have any redeeming qualities.
Right. And I will say before I get into our last discussion question that if you do listen on Audible, and I told you like I was so annoyed, like I didn't think I was gonna be able to finish it. And I was like, I know the story's good. I want to know what happens next plot wise. I was like, but I can't stand this. And like I said, it's not anything against the narrators, it's the personalities of Nick and Amy. And
the length of the book.
And so I ended up turning my speed up to 1.75. And then it was like, it was great. So
nice. I'll have to try that.
That's just like a little hint if you come across something like that, where it's like, it's not that the narrators are doing a bad job. Again, not trying to shit on the Audible narrators. It was the characters were so insufferable that when they were talking faster, I could deal with it better.
Right.
But on to our last question. And I bring this one up because we are a true crime paranormal podcast. It says, as experienced consumers of true crime and tragedy, modern audiences tend to expect each crime to fit a specific mold, a story, a villain, a heroine. How does this phenomenon influence the way we judge news stories? And does this have an impact on the criminal justice system? And consider the example of the North Carthage police and also Tanner Bolt, who is the attorney. And that is, I've mentioned it briefly earlier, that is a huge aspect of Gone Girl, is the statistically speaking, especially in domestic violence cases,
it's usually
a lot of times,
a loved one or someone close to the family.
Exactly. Or as we like to jokingly say, the husband did it.
Yeah.
You know, and so and that is like a huge...
There's a reason why it's a thing.
Right. But with the way things get twisted, and Gone Girl shows this happen to Nick, even though he had all these like he had some things that he couldn't explain, like why he hadn't bought an anniversary gift, which of course then is like, well, you didn't buy an anniversary gift because you knew she wouldn't get it.
By the way, a lot of husbands forget birthdays, anniversaries, and Valentine's and Christmas. Like they wait till it's like a thing. Like I remember watching was it Married with Children and or probably both Roseanne, where the men are going out like at the last minute, even on the middle, to like the convenience store or the drug store and buying like the shittiest fucking gifts they can just to have something for Mother's Day or whatever.
Right. Or like the whole trope of like, oh, that's today. Oh no, I didn't get them an anniversary gift or flowers.
It's in the mail.
Right.
It hasn't been delivered yet.
But because of that, because of this idea where stereotypically crimes can be committed by the person that you know or whatever, it then can easily get twisted where every not innocent mistake that Nick made, but unrelated to Amy mistake that Nick made. Because Nick is not an innocent person. He just didn't abuse and kill Amy.
Right.
But that was able to get twisted in the media to say, oh, well, he has to be guilty. And I think that is stuff we've tried to talk on before, like with our actual true crime cases we cover, of like how I think we talked about on the ethics episode, our last episode, we talked about the guy who whose wife went missing right after Chris Watts murdered his family. And so everyone was like, well, he's obviously guilty. It's that. And like Gone Girl does a really good job of showing how easily that can happen.
Right.
And that is quite realistic, even if you don't think anything else is. Like, I don't know that somebody could actually physically be as detailed and manipulative as she was.
God, I'd hope not.
Hope not, because that is terrifying.
Next level, next level crazy.
Right. But there is that layer of realism that I wanted to like bring up, because I thought that was like a really good point when I saw that on the discussion.
Yeah, it is. And also, I'm going to be that one person that says, I don't think just because, I mean, they should look at everyone, not just one person. And I feel like that's important too. But beyond that, I feel like it should be noted that just because you don't react in certain situations the way somebody expects you to does not mean you are guilty.
Exactly. Like we mentioned earlier, the selfie with the lady at the search party. He just wanted her to go away. We see directly into his head as the readers that is all he wanted, was for her to go away. So he did what she wanted. And then after she left, he was like, shit, that's going to look bad.
not even just that, but like when Gillian died, everyone was like, "You're so strong. You're so this. You're so that. I could never be as strong as you." Okay, first of all, I appreciate all those loving accolades. I do. I was just trauma struck and fucking losing my mind and trying to glue myself back together all at the same time. And I didn't cry at my daughter's memorial service. Everyone cried on me. I didn't have I'm not bitching. I'm just saying, like, I'm pointing out a fact, not like griping about it. I want that to be
Right.
clear. But everyone was crying on me, and my husband, I didn't see him the whole fucking time we were there. I
He was
don't know where
outside
he was.
smoking a
He was
lot.
outside smoking a lot, but I wasn't. I was inside getting cried on, and he was somewhere else. Does that mean we don't love each other? Does that mean that we hate each other? That our marriage is like in ruins?
Did you
No.
notice that they weren't singing together at the front of the room?
And they weren't
must.
crying and sobbing the whole time. And and I'm not going to say who said it, but I've been told that people made shitty comments. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, I'm literally living like probably one of the worst days of my life right now, and you can't just let me have whatever emotion I'm feeling be enough? Because
Right.
that's the thing. Perception is when someone dies, you have to cry. When something sad happens, you have to cry. When you get mad, you have to scream and throw a tantrum. Like, everyone has these built-in perceptions of how you're supposed to react. The difference is everyone reacts differently to different situations, and people need to quit fucking judging other people so fucking difficultly,
Especially, like,
because you don't get to you don't walk in their shoes. You don't fucking know.
right, and like in relation to Gone Girl, it's to the point where like even the police are buying into like all the twists of the media, despite Nick saying, I mean, Nick does like little white lies just like to try to not make himself look bad, which is shitty
Right.
on his part. Like, he should not have done that. He should not have said, "Oh, we had reservations." And they're like, "Well, the restaurant said you didn't." So he should have been like,
Little things like
I,
that will trip you up and make you look stupid and guilty.
right, exactly. But then like they buy into and like even I had mentioned one of the detectives starts trying to like help prove that she was setting him up or whatever when he presented all the evidence. Um, to start off with, she so much believed that he did it that she wouldn't even mention her kid's name because she didn't trust him.
Yeah.
And she says that when they get on better terms, she says, my daughter's name is whatever. Like, I'm so sorry, I didn't trust you before to tell you that because I was so sure you killed her.
Yeah.
And
it's little things like that, like you want to hide your personal information from somebody you think is a murderer. Like, it's those little things that she wrote so well that makes this book so phenomenal. Also,
it
she
makes it
has
come to
other
life.
books. Lindsay, you want to pull up? I don't want to butcher this. I believe her other books are called Sharper
Sharper Objects. That's turned into
Sharper
a TV show.
Objects. It's been turned into a TV show with Amy Adams. The other one is called Dark Places, and that was actually turned into a movie with Charlize Theron, which I will bitch about all day when we get to that book. But our next book that we will be covering is the best thing ever, I swear. But we can't tell you why. But that'll come out soon enough. But the next book that we are covering is another Melanie Golding book. It's called The Hidden, and it's on Audible. It's not free this time, but it is worth your credit. I'm telling you, buy it,
You all
buy
heard
it,
us
buy
talk
it.
about Little Darlings. It was great. And this one is not a sequel per se. It has a couple of the same characters who we know and love
It's
from
in the
Little
same
Darlings.
realm. It's in the same realm. It's not a sequel.
Yes. And it obviously when you read it takes place after Little Darlings, but it's a standalone story. And I can't wait to talk about it.
If you want to understand The Hidden a little better, please read Melanie Golding's first book,
Little
Darlings, because it makes the backstory, it gives you the backstory that you need to understand the characters and The Hidden. But that's as much as we're going to say for now. But be on the lookout for that really special episode when we talk about.
We promise it's not going to take as long because
it's not going to take as long. It's going to be fucking phenomenal, and we will shout it from the rooftops as soon as we get that episode recorded. Exactly what that special little surprise is. But until next time, listeners, stay spooky. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Ghosts in the Attics, Bodies in the Basement, a Fearscape Media podcast. Music by Stephen Timperley. Artwork by Laura Ramsey. Find us online at fearscapemedia.com/GABB podcast, or on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at GABB podcast, or email us gabbpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you.